Hello and welcome. I'm Darren, and 7900 XTX owners, I am here for you. I never abandoned you because I bought the 9070 XT. So we are going to check out AC Shadows on the XTX. We're going to check it out on what is, without any question, the best looking AMD GPU ever made in the Sapphire Nitro XTX. Look at it. It is beautiful. Yeah, we're going to run some AC Shadows. We're going to check it out. I have had a quick look. I don't think there's a lot in it. And I actually think for those of you that held strong and didn't fall for the con that is FSR 4, that at this moment doesn't appear to really exist, and who knows when it will exist. And maybe one day it will exist on this. I hope it exists on this because I want to keep this GPU. I like this GPU. FSR 4 will be incredible for this GPU if it can come to this GPU. And I kind of question, will AMD ever have a GPU that looks as good as this one? This is a really good looking GPU. And when I build my PCs, I kind of do it, as you can tell, like I care about how it looks. And it looks good. So yeah, let's jump in AC Shadows, let's check it out, let's see how it performs, and we will go from there. Okay, here we go. XTX in Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, things have happened, bad things have happened. This was the area where I checked out the performance on the 9070 XT. I did progress into this story a bit because I kind of actually wanted to attempt to play the game, and it would appear that something has happened in this area. It is no longer the area that it was. How that is gonna change performance, I don't know. So I can't really now give a particularly accurate benchmark. There is a crazy crazy mist effect going on here right now. Let's see if I can move a little bit further up anywhere and get away from this crazy mist where we're still within. Those aren't baddies, are they? Are you baddies? No, you're just angry, grunting at each other. Yeah, this is going to be really awkward now. Because there's less people, there's less vegetation. So I don't know. What I will say is we appear to be, probably in this scenario, about 5 FPS what we were in performance on the 9070 XT. We'll go into the settings in a minute. We will check it out. We are still running the same settings. So we are running at maximum quality on everything. So, no, don't go into there. No, get out of there. We don't want to pay for stuff. Go. So, we are running at 4K. We are running with the settings that we left. What's going on? Why won't it scroll? God knows what's going on with my joypad there. So we are running with the settings that we left on the 9070 XT when we left that. So we are running with AMD's FSR at quality, and we are using frame generation. As far as these settings, everything is hot. So ray tracing is on ultra. All of the settings are at the highest available options. Now, I believe in this same area we were getting 80s to 90s on the 9070 XT. We're getting more, I'd say 80s on the XTX. So there's not a lot in it, and we are still using, obviously, the highest level of ray tracing. Now, if there could be a difference down here because the way that this area has changed, unfortunately, there is nothing that I can now do about that. But as far as it's concerned, there is no FSR at this moment, or sorry, there's no FSR 4 available at this moment. So unless you're modding the game, you're either running FSR or XeSS. So that puts these GPUs in pretty much the same situation, apart from modding. So we will quick check out that we align pretty much. I think that the 9070 XT, this will be interesting. I got a feeling that that GPU gains a little bit more performance when using frame generation than what this does, because when I had a quick look, they appeared very close when frame generation wasn't being used. So let's turn that off. And have a look. So this is FSR at quality, which is very similar to what it was on the 9070 XT. Kind of just below 50, sometimes hitting 50, sometimes more. This will drop into like a lot lower depending on what you're doing in the game or where you are, but it's generally in the 45 to 50 FPS region. So that's no different. And then I believe we checked out native we checked out FSR AA, didn't we? So let's check that out. So you waiting for the official benchmarks is the best thing to do, but the official benchmarks seem to be really slow at coming for this game. FSR AA was around 30 FPS on the 9070 XT. So again, very similar in performance. It does look quite nice and clean. Still a bit noisy on AA. Look at the old bamboos back there. There are still a bit of a shimmer fest going on there. But anyway, regardless of that. So, very similar in performance. And then if we go to TAA, not that way, this way. TAA, native TAA, let's go with that. You don't want me to do any applying of anything? Nope. And again, we're around 30 FPS. I got a feeling it's around 35 on the other one. I thought, it might have been depending where I was looking and what was in the scene. So, very similar in performance, obviously FSR AA or native TAA. Native TAA. We're at a low frame rate, so it's hard to tell if all that flickering, it feels a little bit janky. It does look very clean. Very clean. You know, you've got a very sharp level of detail, to the point of I'd probably lower it a little bit. This looks kind of a little bit too sharp for my liking. There is a sharpening scale, so that's fine. I would probably lower it a little bit. But it is very sharp and very clean. Hair looks pretty good. It does shimmer a little bit, but yeah, it's a bit grainy or something. But that's fine. So, as far as it goes, I'm not seeing a huge difference, which makes me wonder exactly how much of an impact there is. Because you can't turn. I think Terra will probably be the man to do this. But obviously ray tracing you can't turn off, so you can go from low to ultra high. And I wonder if most of the impact is already taken up to low, if that makes sense. Is in if I could turn it off and then see the impact of off to low, which obviously, unfortunately, is something that I can't do. Because after that, I'm not actually feeling like there's a huge impact. So I don't know. But as far as it goes, the performance between the XTX, or certainly in my scenario, it doesn't seem that big. Now, this is at 4K. It might be slightly different at different resolutions. Sometimes 4K can be very close. Obviously, the lower the resolutions, the higher the performance. Generally, the higher differences you see in performance. So at 1440p, you know, if this is maybe 3 or 4 or even 5 FPS at 4K, that might turn into 15 or 20 FPS at 1440p and even more at 1080p. I don't know. But at 4K, there isn't a huge amount of difference. And unless you're modding, there is not a visual difference either. As at this moment in time, as far as I am aware, there appears... No, I've done it again. No, I didn't do it. There appears to be no FSR4 in the game, which would obviously give the 9070 XT that piece of visual performance. So what were we running? We were running at quality with frame generation on. It was, yeah, it was doable. I think Terra put up a video yesterday running on the 9070 XT where he showed a few changes that you could make. It definitely does soften them. Like, that is a much softer image from what we were just looking at on the native TAA. Undoubtedly softer. Not horrendous though, as in somewhere in between I think would be ideal. There's a bit of obviously ghosting in this image as well. And unfortunately with FSR it does this weird oil painting water strange thing that it does to the water. But that's it. I won't drag this video out any longer. That was a look at the 7900 XTX. For those that had watched the performance video that I did on the 9070 XT that is still running XTXs, I know that there's a lot of you on the channel that comment every now and then, you know, talking about your XTX. I assume obviously probably more of you have kept your XTX than probably the more of you that have traded it in for the newer, shinier 90XT. So I don't want to abandon you guys. I want you to know that I will still be doing benchmarks for the XTX. When it, I'm not going to say that I'm going to do them all the time, but this is a big launch. This is a big game. It's a big name in gaming. So, and there's no benchmarks out for it yet. Well, certainly not in my time of filming this. So, there we go. I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you appreciate. If you do, please give me a like. And I will catch you in the next one.